After rebuilding my LEGO Wild West town over 3 months ago and since then consistently continuing building and extending it, it's finally time for the grand finale in the western town and the highlight you all wished for, a small Indian village on the high plateau I've built on the outside right there. Now I know some of you'll be overwhelmed with nostalgia right away because what I'm building right now, I have to admit, cost me a few euros, but these are the original LEGO teepees from 1999 I'm setting up right here. Of course, I'll be refining the teepees further in just a bit, adding a fireplace, interior details and so on. But for now, my focus is on establishing the basic structure of the small village up here, starting with 2 teepees. A third one might fit as well. I'll talk about this more at the end of the video. But now I need to integrate it into the overall landscape using cut plates, of course the building technique I've used through the entire desert structure in my Wild West town. Once again, in order to add a bit of contrast, I'm also incorporating regular tan colored plates. The backdrop I'm raising along the edge is just to better integrate the village into the general Western world setting. Now slowly we can move towards more detailed work. First of all, I of course need to establish a camp on the outside, although I didn't really overcomplicate things in this case because I've already considered the future lighting I'll add towards the end of this video. Now right here I'm building a wooden structure in order to hang cooking pots over the campfire, just simple little details that we work on step by step that add to the overall vibe in this little corner. Now, let's introduce the first minifigures. I know it's all very stereotypical at the moment, I'm quite aware of that, but these are the ones from the old Rapid River LEGO Western set and I think they actually fit quite well here. And of course, the most important thing by far, in order to add a bit of color and contrast, the entire scene is decorated with a bit of cacti. In the meantime, Martin has been diligently working on the desert landscape in the foreground, which is really annoying. I'm really thankful he did that. Meanwhile, I focused on the back area. First of all, I of course needed to extend the river, and now it's time to start working on the canyons. I'm of course going to ramp up the speed because it's all the same at the moment. The reason I can do that is because I decided to go back to the basics when building LEGO for the rock formations in the back where the canyons are, and I was simply using regular bricks as well as a few plates on top. I know it doesn't perfectly replicate the rock structure and the rock texture, but in this case I deliberately chose to do so. With these back modules you can see me add right there, I sort of cheated because I elevated from the beginning on in order to save quite a lot of bricks actually, and then continued building from this section upwards. Another thing you guys commented is that all the different lines of the sediments of the rocks are on one exact height, and I know it gives quite a uniform look, but I think it works really well in the Western context. I'll come back to this back area in just a second because we still need to add details. Another thing that has to be done for sure is we have to finish off this little road that leads outwards of the Wild West town. Quickly did that as well with the same structure I've also used throughout the rest of the village. And now finally the details, a bit of plants, barrels and so on. I've also finished up the canyons and now it's time for details. This little wanted poster right there I've now hung up on certain buildings. I definitely want to replicate the minifigure. So I was looking through my minifigure head collection and chose this head up there, which has one major flaw. As soon as I'm placing the head on top and turn it around, you can see right there, it has a second face, which of course doesn't work at all if you place the head on top because we still have the mouth at the backside, which of course is a bit stupid. And now there's a really awesome trick you can see me use right there. You can simply erase the face, the printed face, using a rubber. And well, this is then what I've done. It takes about a minute or something until the entire thing is completely wiped away. And this of course is awesome in case you have dual printed minifigure heads, but you only want to use one face in combination with the head, and therefore I did that in this case. Place the minifigure somewhere in there. The storyline is that this person obviously takes down their own wanted poster because he doesn't want to be recognized in the city. Then I was of course also working on little details right there with a duel, for example. The one guy just shot off the head of the guy. Then also you guys complained that my horses don't have any saddles for the riders. Therefore I added saddles for every single horse in the entire village. And now the part we've all been waiting for, it's finally time for the lighting. And of course I need to remove every single building for that, and I got help from my brother in this case. These are now the first 2 lamps we're going to add into the Wild West mod for the station in this case. And no worries, I won't show you every single LED I'm adding in the Wild West town, but just so you get an idea what goes into adding one single light. This is the LED that has to be somewhat fit into the brick modified, soldering going on with the fitting resistors, cables that have to be added for every single LED, of course isolating everything so we don't have anything short-circuiting in the end, and then hiding the cables, ideally in hollow bricks. Right there, for example, these 1x1 round bricks are perfect for that, and I know this hurts quite a lot. In some cases, right there, through the plates, we have to drill certain holes for the cables, of course, to be fitted through. But the main goal we have when it comes to the lighting in, first of all, the Wild West town, but also in the city, is to hide every single cable so you don't have any chance of seeing one single cable. I know this won't be easy, but I love challenges like this. And now for every single building, I'm leaving a 8x8 stud plate gap right underneath the building, because obviously you won't be able to see that gap. And then we have a hole drilled through the wooden plate, and now then this is where the cables are being fitted through. And all this work, there you can see it, for 2 little LEDs, and now we need to do that for every single building. No worries, I won't show you everything, just so you get the gist of the entire thing. Once again, 8x8 stud gap for the saloon right there. This is what it looked like. Of course, you always have to test if everything works, if you want to have more lights, fewer lights, and so on. We also decided to light up the church, and now this is what the first section looks like. I absolutely love the vibe, and this then obviously motivated my brother and me to keep pushing when it comes to lighting up the entire city. And therefore, next up, it was time for the bank. At this point, at least, still didn't have an interior, so we of course needed to add that with a little table. Once again, keeping in mind where we want to have lit up lamps in the end. And of course, the most important thing for the bank, the vault in the corner right there. And then this basically sums up the bank, placing it back into the city. And there you can see how awesome this looks at night. And although this looks awesome, my personal highlight is still about to come. This is now 100% my brother's work. He was working on a realistic fire for the little Indian village up there on the plateau. These are the first experiments you can see right there for flickering LEDs. And then we also decided to have a fire within the teepee itself. There you can see how awesome that would look. Now, of course, not only having the fire inside, but also the campfire on the outside of the little village. This is what it looks like at daylight. Even at daylight it looks awesome. So you'll see it in just a second. I won't spoil you how awesome everything looks at night. Of course, once again, we need to place back the modules into the city, get the cables sorted out. Of course, the LEDs have to be hidden inside the campfire. You can see not a single LED is shown in the end. Then it was time to rebuild the village, and now I think it's time to finally take a look at how this looks at night. Alright, so you know that corner by now. And now my brother is underneath the table, and he's going to connect everything in 3, 2, 1. This is what it looks like. Isn't that awesome? I mean, it looks even more realistic than actual fire, if you ask me. Now, honestly, seeing these awesome flickering lights, I definitely want to add 2 or 3 more spots where I have a little campfire or something going on in the Wild West town while we have flickering lights. Another thing I definitely still need to show you for today's video is, of course, and we go back to daylight for this, the before and after picture. This is what it looked like before today's update, of course with the empty section in front and the empty section in the back. And this is what it looks afterwards. Although this now wraps up the main building progress in the Wild West town, it still isn't finished. Of course, as you can see right there, we still have to light up a few more buildings. And of course, I still want to add more stories, more details, and so on. And now, with that being said, that's it for today's video. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you again in the next one.